Well, rise and shine. We're here in Edinburg. Welcome to Cafe Travels. We're in Edinburg, Texas this time. Traveling through the valley and throughout the country. We're going to My Place Cafe. My Place Cafe. A lot of history here inside the building. I'm not saying that the place has a lot of history. It's just that they like to talk about or have pictures. Look, just look at that. There's the old courthouse right there at the top. And so you all know that Edinburg and Hidalgo County has a new courthouse. That's the old courthouse. Oh, I've done quite a few stories. Kind of used to be. Here's one of our heroes from World War II, the 4th Army. I was in the military. I was in the Army. I was in the 6th Army. I was in the 3rd Army. I was attached to the 82nd Airborne. Yes. Not World War II. Not that old. But during the Vietnam War. There's Freddy Gonzalez. Another soldier, another hero from here, from Edinburg, Texas. This restaurant is just as full of memories. It's another old picture of the courthouse and the surrounding area in Edinburg. Like I said, there's some of the judges. This is a pretty popular judge here. They all are. But Judge Terry Palacios was pretty popular, and I believe he still might be in office. Espinosa. They all were excellent judges and loved covering stories that were very nice and let us cover the stories as we wish. And Aldo Serra, I don't recall him that much, but I guess he might have been just a little before my times. And this is way before my times. I believe there's kind of like a horse there. These are old buildings. People getting married back in those days, believe it or not. Here they are in front of the old courthouse. There's a constable, one of our many constables protecting the community. Farm workers picking up cabbage. I don't know if we have any lettuce here. I know that Salinas, California is known as the lettuce capital of the world, but here we have cabbage and anything else you can take from cabbage, onions, and another picture of another wedding. San Trevino, back in 1947. That's, like I said, that's before my time. I know I'm old, but this is a little before my time. And here's a bunch of compadres celebrating to whatever. Anything just to celebrate. Like I said, it's a beautiful restaurant here in the heart of Edinburg, just a couple of blocks east of the courthouse. I know it was around closing time when I went, so that's come you don't see that many people, but I'm sure it gets pretty packed on lunchtime and other. Here's another picture of farmers picking up cabbage. A lot of cabbage. There is a lot of cabbage here. Yeah, I remember covering a lot of stories here when a lot of our soldiers went to fight in the Middle East and during Desert Storm and Iraqi freedom. And, quite a few. We covered a lot of stories from Sepulveda. And did cover a lot about Freddy Gonzalez. Not during the Vietnam War, but mostly about remembering him and his mom, who just passed away not too long ago. Covered a lot of stories here in Edinburg. What a great lady she was. As a greeter, I remember vividly that she was a greeter here at the HEB. Mrs. Gonzalez. She was such a character. Very, very nice lady. It's sad to see her go, but she did have a lot of pleasant memories of her son. There's a high school graduation, College World Series, Team 1971. And believe it or not, I didn't even know we had a College World Series winners here in the Rio Grande Valley. Some of the players. It's a great sports place. Love to come and see the Vaqueros. I remember when it was Pan Am. Even then, I used to love to go see the baseball games. Kind of empty all the time. I wish they had more support, but love to cover the baseball games. And now, football team. Wow, it's gonna be great. Basketball teams here, the Vipers. Love to go see them play. They're an excellent team. I was happy to have attended many of those games when they won the 2 championships. I don't know how many players they have in the NBA, but quite a few. And some Tejano music players. Does anybody remember this? This Woolworth, first woman in Edinburgh to get a driver's license. Wow. Woman started driving here in Edinburgh in 1936, I guess, the first woman that got a driver's license. I don't know, I wonder how difficult it was for them to get a driver's license back in those days. And I remember I was so nervous. And here's a good memory of Sean Snyder. But what a fine man this guy was. And I used to first run into him when the bus accident in Mission. He was a firefighter then, and that's when I ran into him that I can recall for the first time. And then after that, I don't know how many times. Funny story. One time, my apartment, I had a fire in my apartment, and I was not a very good cook. So talking about restaurants, I'll never be a cook or a dishwasher. My kitchen caught on fire. And I was cooking. I guess you gotta make sure you buy the right pan. So I bought the wrong pan, and then my kitchen caught on fire. And here he is, Chief Snyder and his firemen all came to the rescue. They put out the fire in 2 seconds. Nothing more burned than just that little fan on top of the stove that caught on. That was a goner, the little shelf on top of the stove. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, it was nice of them, the firefighters, and Sean Snyder. It's an adventure I'll never forget. I thought I managed to put out some of it, but I was glad that they came over and took care of the rest. They put the blowers and they went up to the attic and they made sure that nothing was still maybe light up again. So memories I'll never forget about Edinburgh, Texas. So there's other stories to tell, so we'll travel from town to town here in the valley. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you and hope to reach all these towns and tell you about my adventures of living here in the Rio Grande Valley and working for the great station of KRGB Channel 5 that I did there for like 20 years. I was on the field, another 20 inside, but even then I still went out. There's nothing like meeting people and being part of the community. That's what I felt my joy, and I was happy to cover. I did go work up in Chicago for a while, but it wasn't the same. I worked for the world news there, and didn't really cover people. It was just like cut and paste, and so it was not enjoyable. Not like coming out here. Those people that I covered in Chicago and other areas in the Midwest, it wasn't as enjoyable. As you see, I've always come back. This is my home. This is where my family grew up. So I really enjoy living in the Rio Grande Valley. Lived almost everywhere. Lived in the Edinburgh, except I haven't lived in Mission and like further west. I really haven't lived there, but I lived almost everywhere east of McAllen. We lived in Edinburgh, Dana, Westlaco, Harlingen, Port Isabel, you name it. It's been fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed this trip and a little of my storytelling here. And so don't forget to come back. And most of all, tell your friends. And don't forget to like and share. And most of all, thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe, please. I really appreciate it. And till next time, now we're driving off to La Mexicana Bakery, one of my favorite bakeries in the Rio Grande Valley. There's one here, and there's one in Elsa. No, that's a town I should go cover. Thanks a lot. Enjoy. Hasta luego. Bye-bye.